Coming up on this edition of Southwest TV News. The world came to swift current as the top 12 teams competed in the 2016 Ford World Women's Curling Championship. Armed officers walking through a neighborhood and tactical units ready to storm a residence rarely take place in communities like Swift Current. The signs are up and campaign offices are open in the Swift Current constituency, with only 2 candidates running for the position of MLA. The varsity basketball season recently drew to a close as the Great Plains College SunDogs hosted the PAC Provincial Championship.
Thanks for joining us here today. Well, it was 9 exciting days of curling action in Swift Current, and the Southwest community proved once again it's worthy of hosting a world-class event.
The world came to Swift Current as the top 12 teams competed in the 2016 Ford World Women's Curling Championship. Throughout the week, fans packed the stands watching their favorite teams on the ice, and in between picked up a few souvenirs, traded pins, and stories with other fans from around the world. The uniqueness of the fans shone throughout the week, with many dressing up in various costumes to cheer on their favorite teams, including the Scotty Sponge Girls from Medicine Hat, who travel the curling circuit and were enjoying their time in Swift Current.
It's a group of girls ranging in age from early 20s to mid-60s. And we've just loved curling, and we've just traveled to all of these great events. We get to know the curlers, we get to know the fans. We had our pictures taken already twice with Hans, the guy that dresses up all the time. And it's just so much fun meeting all these new people.
The patch was a hub of activity throughout the week, as fans gathered to meet the teams one-on-one during autograph sessions. And at night, the patch was party central, as patrons enjoyed an array of musical entertainment on stage. Jeff Chambers resumed his role as chairperson of the patch for the second time in Swift Current, and says this year's event surpassed 2010, both in liquor sales and crowds. And he was excited to be part of the week-long festivities.
There's some pretty long days where I was just thinking about that this morning. I thought they're 14 to 16-hour days, but you know what? It's different. You're just excited to do it. It's different than a paid job, I guess. You know, you just want to do great things and want to showcase our city, because I think it's awesome. I love Swift Current. I showed up here 15 years ago for a 6-month job, and 15 years later, I'm glad I'm here. So, yeah, it's just about doing it and being around everybody, and it's just worked out really good.
The week-long competition culminated on Sunday with Team Switzerland capturing the World Championship title. Japan placed second with the silver, and Russia will go home with the bronze medal. Now, with another successful World Women's Championship on the books, the local organizing committee is beaming with pride and gratitude.
Thank you, I suppose, would be the biggest thing I'd like to say. Thank you for coming to Swift Current, for sharing in the World Championships with us, for the experience, the atmosphere, and just, it always helps when people come and celebrate, and people have said thanks too. You know, they've said to the host committee, you're doing a great job, we love your volunteers, the teams, fans are so appreciative. So from our perspective, yeah, thank you for supporting the event and for enjoying it with us.
Once again putting Swift Current and Southwest Saskatchewan on the map and proving that smaller communities can host world-class events.
And now we're definitely going to be marked for future events. So we're showing we can host major events. We have a World Curling event. It's being sold out. There's no question we can party like no other.
Over 500 volunteers assisted with the 2016 Ford World Women's Curling Championship in Swift Current, with revenue to local businesses expected in the $10 million range.
An armed standoff is a rare occurrence in Swift Current, and the local RCMP are reminding the public how community cooperation plays a key role in public safety.
Armed officers walking through a neighborhood and tactical units ready to storm a residence rarely take place in communities like Swift Current. However, when sensitive situations such as the one this past week do occur, with emergency response teams and crisis negotiators on site, onlookers need to stay at a safe distance.
When we place that yellow police barrier tape, we place it there for a number of reasons, and one of them is to ensure public safety. We don't want anybody crossing that perimeter while our members are engaged in dealing with the situation. If somebody crosses it, members are unaware possibly of their presence when they're focused on the situation and the task at hand that they're dealing with. So that is one of the reasons we will set up a perimeter that we expect the public to respect and not cross. Because as you can imagine, if somebody is focused on a residence or a vehicle or a building where we have somebody that we're trying to deal with, and somebody should happen to come up from behind or cross in the distance that they're not expecting, it draws their attention away from that situation, which can create all kinds of issues from a safety perspective for the officers, the individual involved, and the general public.
The RCMP further add that social media can also play a negative role in these types of situations. Hence why they often advise the public to keep certain messaging to themselves.
Obviously, if the individual that we're dealing with does not want to deal with the police and they know where the police are as a result of these postings on social media, be it verbal or I should say typed description or photographs or video footage even, it puts our members at jeopardy as far as a safety concern goes.
And whether it's a scenario of an individual held up in a building with possible weapons or another community emergency, the public is advised to not get in the way of any emergency personnel.
When we have a situation like we did the other day, part of our plan is an exit strategy. So in other words, when we put that tape up, it ensures us an opportunity for medical services to get in or out if need be. Whereas if we've got people parked along front of those tape with their vehicle or whatever, they may hinder that plan and that ability for medical services or future further emergency services to respond.
And based on the state of emergency, the local RCMP may handle the situation on their own, or as in this case, call in outside assistance from Regina and Calgary.
The next provincial government will be elected on April the 4th. And in this report, we profile the two candidates running in the Swift Current constituency.
On April the 4th, voters will head to the polls to cast their ballot in deciding who the provincial government will be for the next 4 years. The signs are up and campaign offices are open in the Swift Current constituency, with only two candidates running for the position of MLA. Incumbent Brad Wall will be seeking another term as MLA for his home riding, since first being elected in 1999. And says there's a number of issues he'd like to address if re-elected.
You know, just generally speaking, I'd say infrastructure for the area, that's a concern for me as the local MLA. But the economy is going to be our number one priority in the campaign and beyond. You know, Saskatchewan and Southwest Saskatchewan has even been relatively resilient, you know, given that we've had $30 West Texas for a long time and job loss in the energy sector. But we're more diversified now than we've ever been. We're more resilient than we've ever been. And so I think there's strength there. That's what we have to make sure we're vigilant about. The government should be doing its part to create the right climate for investment and attract as much investment in new jobs as possible and protect the jobs that are here.
Wall further adds that if he's re-elected for another 4-year term, he and his team are ready to balance the provincial budget.
We don't have to get into widespread cuts, I don't think, over the next 2 years to get back to, year actually, to get back to balance in 17-18. But we'll have to manage the increases. Even in previous budgets, even last year, which was tight, some ministries took zero, so that health could have at least a 3% increase.
New to the political scene is 21-year-old Haley Clark. And although she's a current resident of Regina, Clark says her roots are in the Southwest, and she looks forward to meeting local residents and earning their votes.
I've chosen to run this campaign because it's such a challenge almost to be against Brad Wall, in that I'm making a stand about all the things we can change. Both my dad's a teacher and my mother's an EA, so that too, his cuts in the classrooms with the EAs affects personal life, as well as just ambulance fees are a big one because of trying to get to the city was such a hassle that people were choosing not to call ambulances, and that's something that I would like to change, which the NDP does have a strong stance on.
And although this is her first run at politics, Clark hopes she'll be an inspiration to others on Election Day.
Well, I'm a young voice. Young people in Saskatchewan, they aren't big voters. Even just going out to supporting, the average age in the room for NDP supporters is above 40. So I want to change that. I want to bring the young people's voice into politics, whether it be for the NDP or Sask Party, any campaign, just to get the young people out there and their voices heard.
In the end, Swift Current voters will have the final say as to who their MLA will be for the next 4 years as they cast their ballots at advance polls set for March 28 through April the 2nd, or on Election Day, April the 4th.
Another basketball season is drawn to a close, and the Great Plains College SunDogs are hoping to iron out a few rough spots before next year.
The varsity basketball season recently drew to a close as the Great Plains College SunDogs hosted the PAC Provincial Championship. 5 teams from across the province competed in the men's and women's divisions. And despite a valiant effort on the court, both of the GPC teams fell short of medal contention. Matthew Benesh, a first-year SunDog, was honored with the Men's All-Star Award and says although the team works on a cohesive level on the court, each have their own unique playing style.
I like to play outside, but I like to think I can drive to the hoop too. And I like to think of myself as a pretty good passer too. I like to consider myself a decent all-around player, and that's kind of what I've tried to do over the years, just be solid at everything.
And as a team overall, they still have to overcome a number of challenges as they look forward to next season.
I wish it'd be a longer season because we're starting to get better and better. But now that the season is coming up short, we just have to put our best.
We're a smaller team, so we got to work a little harder, and we got to get rebounds because we're a pretty small team. I'm the tallest guy on our team, so because some of the guys we're playing are pretty big guys, and as you'll see, we have a pretty short team, but it works in other ways. We're pretty quick, so that comes with that too. So
the basketball season for the GPC SunDogs spans 3 months, with approximately 4 league tournaments and 20 games.
Well, this brings to a close another episode of Southwest TV News, reporting the stories that matter to you. We always welcome your news tips. You can always reach us here by phone at our studio or by email to contact us at southwesttvnews.com. Also, be sure to join us daily online for the latest news from across Southwest Saskatchewan and so much more at MyLocalTV.ca. And be sure to follow us on a range of social media. Thanks for joining us here today. I'm Carol Andrews.